How are you, boys and girls? Welcome to the Going Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Braam Hein, Cryptic Koala on all social media platforms, and today we'll be deep diving on all things health and wellness related. First off, before I start, episode 33, shout out E-House. I got called huge twice at the hospital. Sick. I had to go get some testing done, and the first time the nurse was like, "Oh, you play sports or you work out because you have those biceps," and I was like, "Nice, thanks." Then as I had to bring back my testing samples or whatever, the guy at the receptionist, 'cause I was confused as to where to go. The receptionist guy was like, "Hey, don't take this the wrong way, but you look amazing," and I was like, "Dude, hell yeah, let's go." Anyway, that was my day, so that was sick. I need to go to the hospital more often, I guess. Not for that reason. Not for any other reason, actually. I actually don't like going to hospitals. I don't want to be in hospitals. I want to avoid them as much as I can. That's why I care about my health. That's why you should too. So you should help other people care about their health too. Anyway, moving on to today's episode, which is why your diet isn't working. And this is a very potent topic because I feel like diets and diet culture is very yo-yo based. Like, people hear the term yo-yo dieting, and it's a true thing. It's a thing that happens a lot, and some people don't attempt dieting, or they attempt it a few times and then they quit because of this phenomenon, which is that it just doesn't work for them. And today I'm going to tell you why they're probably not working, and really get down to the nitty gritty of it, and then explain to you how to get out of each one of those things, right? I won't go too in depth in this. I just want to kind of give you the reason and why it's a thing that's happening, and then how to get out of it, right? So the first thing that I think is crucial and as to why diets don't work is that you start off in too big of a deficit. So obviously a calorie deficit is what people are talking about when they're talking about dieting and that kind of thing. And people try to diet and they diet too hard, basically. Like, they go from what they're eating and they then just absolutely shoot down their calories without even intentionally doing it, like just focusing on eating salads and just fruit, or like the lowest calorie things possible. And I'm not saying those things are bad, but you should actually be shooting for a smaller deficit rather than too big of a deficit. Because if you have too big of a deficit, everything's going to crash. Your hormones are going to crash. You're going to have no energy, no output in the gym, and then your sleep and recovery is going to be bad, and nothing's going to go well. And then that's where the cravings and the ghrelin and the leptin, all those hormones just crash, and they don't know what to do. So ghrelin, your hunger hormone, actually spikes if you have too big of a deficit, which then makes you crave everything. It's going to make you binge. It's going to have those nights are going to be brutal because you're going to crave every sugary thing, every fatty thing that you desire, and you're probably going to give into it if you go too steep into it. If you aren't used to aggressive cutting, then it's not going to work. I'm personally someone who I can't have too big of a deficit, otherwise weekends are going to go crazy, you know? So I can maintain it for like a day, but I have to get back onto a smaller deficit or my maintenance calories the next day, because otherwise it's just going to go to shambles, right? Next one. Actually, I didn't explain how to get out of it. So, sorry. You actually, instead of doing too big of a deficit, you want to have a smaller deficit, like 200, 500 calories, 1,000 probably at the most. 1,000 is borderline aggressive. That's more so like the losing 2 pounds a week kind of diet. And to get that deficit, the smaller deficit, you have to figure out what your maintenance is. And that's obviously one of the key things in getting a calorie deficit to actually work, is actually knowing what your maintenance calories is. Because if you don't know that, then you're just kind of guessing. And to figure out maintenance calories, you can get that through a TDEE calculator, or you can kind of just mess around with your calories, and then if you track honestly for a week or two, and you also track your weight, and you see how that weight fluctuates, you will kind of have a soft understanding of where your maintenance calories are, and then you can go from there to understand where your deficit is going to be, right? And then after that, you just go 200 to 500 underneath that, and then maintain that for as long as you can. And then once your activity levels start to lower because of the deficit, or your just maintenance calories start to go down a little bit because you've lost a lot of weight, then you readjust when you need to after that. Okay? So the second one is inconsistency without realizing. And that's due to the fact that a lot of people don't actually track a lot of their things, and they don't understand why they may not be losing weight when they're eating really, really healthy. But what I'm talking about here with inconsistency is either you're really, really consistent for 5 to 6 days, and then that 7th day you just go ham on things, or even every single day thing of where you might have a little nibble of some, like a mixed nuts, or have like a full sugar drink here, or have a few bites of a cookie here, or like 1 or 2 Oreos, and you don't keep track of those things. If you do that 5 or 6 times in a day, that adds up to a decent chunk of calories, and that could put you, if you're in a small deficit, at your maintenance or even over your maintenance if you're doing that every day. If you're doing that multiple times throughout a day, it will not benefit you in terms of your deficit. If you do it once a day, depending on what it is, it could hinder, like if you're having like 3 Oreos once a day, then that's like 200 calories if you didn't realize that. And then not realizing that over time, and then thinking that your diet's not working, where in fact the diet could actually be working. It's just you being inconsistent throughout the day all week, right? And how to fix that? The only way to fix that is to be completely and utterly honest with yourself when you're talking about your daily habits. If you're snacking, if you're being on plan for 18 hours in the day, and then the last 30 minutes you're just going crazy on some Ben and Jerry's, you have to be completely honest with yourself and honestly track everything that you can, and then see if you do snack throughout the day, where that's putting you at with your calories. And I'm not trying to give anyone like an eating disorder or like a bad habit with calorie tracking, but if your diet isn't working, that's could definitely be a reason. And if you don't at least try it out to see where your habits lie and then fix those habits, then you kind of poop out of luck, you know? So be completely honest with yourself and try and be as consistent as you can. So one of the next ones is that you could not actually be in a deficit. Kind of going back to the point with the maintenance calories, if you don't actually know your maintenance and you don't actually know how many calories you have to eat, if you are eating 2,500 calories and that's your maintenance calories, and you think you're in a deficit and you're not losing any weight, but you're certain that you're in a deficit, you're not actually in a deficit because you're eating at your maintenance calories. And the only way to actually be in a deficit is to fully understand how your body reacts to food and how your body reacts to activity levels, and then how that all correlates to your energy expenditure in a day. And that's not always going to be the same in yearly periods. So if you just getting back into your diet, and you think that you did a diet before and you were eating at 2,300 calories and that worked for you, and it worked for a certain period of time, but then you had a yo-yo and then it stopped working, and then you gained a bunch of weight back, and you try that again and it's not working because you used to be really, really active during that time before, but now you're not as active. So your maintenance calories are actually lower than what it used to be, because you used to be more active before, so you could eat 2,300 calories and be in a deficit. But now 2,300 calories isn't, because you either have more family issues, like kids, or are just more sedentary throughout the day because of a job. That changes your makeup of your daily calorie expenditure, so that changes your maintenance calories. So you have to refigure out your maintenance each time you do a diet or anything like that, to then fully understand how to be in a deficit. Anyway, moving on. So the next one that I want to talk about is that one of the things that I think that is truly a reason as to why diets don't work for most people is that the diet doesn't actually work with their lifestyle. So people see diets on the internet like animal whole-based food diets and all that jazz, or trying to make the crazy recipes that take hours at a time, and people just don't have time for that most of the time. And then like, well, dieting's too hard because I can't do this, and then so I'm just gonna eat out or order food in or blah blah blah, or eat the pre-made things, whatever. If you are trying to copy someone else's diet, it's most likely not gonna work, because you guys live different lives. You guys don't. You probably have a 9 to 5. They're probably just a fitness influencer who can afford to spend 2 hours in a day cooking, whereas you probably only have 30 to 40 minutes a day to cook. If that, you might only have like a day on a weekend to meal prep for the entire week. So if you try to copy these people's lifestyle diets, you will probably most likely fail in your diet. And that's not saying it's because you aren't trying to adhere to a diet. You're just trying to adhere to the wrong one. So you have to figure out what's going to work with your lifestyle. If you only have Sunday to cook, figuring that out and knowing that is the first step. And then figuring out your meals throughout the week and how you can plan that out. It gives you a lot of freedom. You can cook a lot of things on that day and then figure out for the rest of the week. Even like pre-making just the protein and then cooking the carbs and fats like on the day can help a lot. That's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start doing basically just pre-making all of my protein and then figuring out carbs and all that jazz later, just because I feel like that's going to make my life easier. And I want to have like fat sources ready, like guacamole cups and peanut butter and hummus, all that kind of stuff. So then that can easily feed into my fat intakes whenever I need to, and then where I can add those to meals, because you can add pretty much all those things to meals to make them taste better, or to just add some flavor, or just even on the side if I need to, just to help out with my diet as much as I can, right? So figure out what's going to work for you, and don't try to copy anyone else's diet, and then go from there. And then if you like certain foods, try to incorporate them more. If you don't like other certain foods, don't eat them. And then don't listen to people on the internet who are trying to tell you have to eat this in a day because it's the best thing that's since sliced bread. If it's not gonna fit into your lifestyle and it's not gonna help you get to your goals, don't have it. You don't have to have it. You can incorporate other things that I'm sure will incorporate the benefits of that one thing that they're trying to implement to you. And then if you don't get those benefits, oh well. You're still going towards your goals, and that's all that matters in the end of the day. Okay, so the last one that I want to talk about and want to touch on is that you're ignoring the other factors that in terms of diets. So recovery, stress, and sleep. Those are the 3 things that people ignore a lot, and people don't realize affect their diet, because it affects your hormones, it affects like ghrelin and leptin, the hunger hormones that I was talking about before. If you don't have the recovery, stress, and sleep in check, those are going to be heavily affected. That's going to affect your brain health, and it's going to affect your hunger signals and your satiety levels, because everything's interconnected within the body. If one thing's out of check, most other things are going to be affected somehow. And how your nutrition and your satiety and your hunger levels are affected by those other things is that they're going to be shot up, and they're going to hinder your other goals, because you aren't focusing on your recovery, on your stress levels, and on your 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So you have to get those things in check. Recovery-wise, just making sure that you're giving yourself enough rest in a day, in terms of from your activity levels, whatever it is. Your stress, you have to get that in check. Obviously, there's things you can't control, but making sure that you're taking time away from things, or going on daily walks, or just talking to loved ones, getting that in check. And obviously sleep is just 7 to 9 hours. Getting those things in check will 1000% help you on your dieting journey, because those are factors that can then be taken away from anything that's affecting your diet. And that will help you in the long run achieve your goals. And I now have to shoot out because I have to get ready for a dinner with my girlfriend and her brother who's coming to town. So hopefully that helps. I can delve deeper into these things if you want. Episode 33, man, we're going, we're swimming. I'm gonna release this literally right now. I'm gonna post it, and then hopefully next week we're gonna talk about the most overlooked factors that are sabotaging your muscle growth. So I've been hunched over this whole episode. I just realized. Hopefully I don't look stupid. Does it look worse? Probably. But anyway, hopefully you have a great day. My day's going great because that one guy said I look amazing. Nice. So, chat to you guys next week. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in.